Hey, it's time for the Twice Removed podcast with Linda and Gina, where we talk about all things genealogy, including making connections with long-lost relatives while snooping in on our ancestors. Hey, it's good to know where you come from.
Welcome back to Twice Removed with Linda and Gina. We are here to talk about family connections from the past and the present through genealogy research. And today...
I'm so excited about this one.
Today, this is fun because it's genealogy research, but it's also contemporary research. Because it's about finding famous relatives, either famous ancestors or famous living relatives. Do you have any?
I do. Do you?
I do.
Oh, hey. I hope our listeners do too. Send us your answers because we want to know who you're related to. We need the hookup. Give us the hookup.
Yeah. I got a script. I might want to pass on. No, I'm just kidding.
So we're talking famous relatives like Melissa and Jenny McCarthy or Warren Beatty and Shirley MacLaine. You old people know who that is. But yeah, that's cool. Very cool.
So I stumbled upon this site a few years ago, and I thought it was kind of funny. One of our mutual friends was also doing it too, and I think at one point we were kind of related to each other, but I don't know if we still are because it changes. Because
were they famous?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. But yeah, this is the friend that we know that likes horses. They used to ride horses a lot. You know who I'm talking about?
Me?
No.
Oh,
besides you.
No, who?
We met with her once in a town near Los Angeles and had lunch. And then never mind.
Are you sure it was me?
Yeah, it was you.
Okay.
I have a good memory, and it's gonna
I'm glad someone does on this show because it ain't me. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, yes, I started using this site a few years ago, and it's called relativefinder.org. And basically how you use it is you need to go ahead and set up as much of your family tree as you can on familysearch.org, and that's where you can do that for free, right? So you put up as much as you can. And somehow it knows through other people's trees and the big master tree that they have at Family Search, what the rest of the steps are leading. And then, so like me going up through my ancestries and then coming back down through somebody else's ancestors, that's how we're connected. So it's like a lot of research. So if you're going back 14 generations, God, it takes a long time.
Oh my God, if it's not Barbra Streisand, then it ain't worth it. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I didn't want to have to do all of that work for sure yet. But at the present time, I am related to Debbie Reynolds and Carrie Fisher.
Oh,
yeah, which is
Todd
fun.
Fisher.
Yeah, Todd Fisher's still with us.
Now, is that on the Reynolds side or the Fisher side? Because then you'd have Jolie Fisher and
no.
Trish
It's on the
Lee.
Reynolds side. It's Debbie Reynolds.
Okay. Sorry, Jolie.
Well, Debbie. You know, if it's Debbie, it's Carrie. Yeah, it's not the Fisher side. But they were 12th cousins, and it was through my Scandinavian. I think my dad's side. My grandfather's side on my Swedish side, and then I just looked at it again today, and John Wayne was on there too. But see, it's you don't know for sure until you research it back and say, yeah, those are really my ancestors. But then you have to go and figure out how they got to theirs too, and if it's actually right. And so you don't really know if the celebrity side is right. You can tell yours is, but I don't know enough about the celebrities to know. You know, I guess you could do it. It just takes longer, right? If you don't know all the names and all the players. And of course, it's Scandinavian, so you have all that patronymic name stuff again.
Yeah, and you're having stories handed down from families too. So you know.
But you can tell by the records if they kept records. But going into the 1500s, 1400s, it's a little crazy.
It is.
But what was really cool was like every year, I guess they have this convention for genealogy, and it's put on by all the big players, like Ancestry and Family Search and everybody else who is involved in that. And earlier this year, Sean Astin was a keynote speaker. because he found out who his real biological father is through DNA testing.
It wasn't John?
No.
Oh.
No, it's somebody else, and I can't remember who it is. It was somebody else his mother was married to. Yeah, but so it's like they also had these, like anybody who was there participating as a guest or a keynote speaker or whatever, they had like little links with their picture and say, hey, are you related to Sean Astin? And I'm like, yeah, let me just click on this and see what happens. And basically I am.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, him and his mother, I'm related to both of them, ninth cousin. And I had to know because I always loved the Patty Duke show and I am a Goonies fan. So I had to go trace that one back. And that was through Root Tech that was, it was really cool. Man, I always was thinking, it's like, yeah, there's something about Patty Duke. I like her. Growing up and you watch the show. I don't know if you watched that when you were a kid or not.
Oh yeah, the twins.
Yeah. So, and it was on my grandmother's side, my German grandmother's side, how that went down. And I found so much when I was looking there. I was like, oh my goodness. And, but the thing is that there's a cousin, my mother's first cousin. When I realized this, like, oh my gosh, she looks like Patty Duke when she was younger, when they were both around the same, like late teens. It's like, that carried through 9 generations. Well, I guess it was more like 8 or 7 or 8 for them, but it's funny how some traits really do shine through after generation after generation after generation.
It is. You totally can tell when they're from the same tribe.
Yeah. And men pass down more to each other through the Y because the only one who can get it is the son, So it's like there'll always be like the father-son look that you can pretty much figure that's probably still going to keep passing down through the Y chromosome. The male line, they get to keep their names and the Y chromosome doesn't change. It's the same one, doesn't change at all.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So
I'm blown away. I'm looking at this little list here that is famous people who are related to each other. And I got to tell you, I didn't know Brandy and Snoop Dogg were related.
They're first cousins.
Wow.
According to the article I read. And it was, I've seen this in different places. I don't remember. Country Living, I think, is where I found this one.
I mean, oh my gosh. And the Gabor sisters are related to the Hiltons. Blow my mind. I mean, I can totally see it. Zsa Zsa and Ava.
Well, Zsa Zsa was married to Conrad Hilton, and they had a daughter together, and the daughter was the one who is related.
See, you guys,
and all them.
Check your DNA. Some people could be owing you money.
Yeah,
or
of course,
some hotels or something.
Of course, all of us who watched TV in the 70s knew about Roxy Roker and Al Roker. And Roxy Roker was Lenny Kravitz's mom, and Lenny Kravitz is Zoe Kravitz's dad.
I have a mini Roxy Roker story. When I was a teen, 16, 15, my friend and I from high school, we used to work at the Jerry Lewis MDA telethon every year. And we'd always get to do the green room and take the celebrities to the green room. And we met so many people and it was so wonderful. And Roxy Roker and Isabel Sanford were there. And
Cool.
Roxy Roker... Oh, Jefferson's. I am moving on up. I love that show. And so I went up to her and to get an autograph. And she goes, oh, can you excuse me a minute? And she's at the payphone because nobody had cell phones then. And she's putting her little dimes in and she's yelling at her little son, Lenny, and telling him that he could not go outside and to do his homework and do this and do that. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And then she got off the phone and it was just a delight, a sheer delight. And then Isabel Sanford came over and we all stood there and sung the national anthem together. So their arms around each other. It was wonderful. It was like my little moment there with them. But I love them.
So nice. The 70s too.
Right?
Such a cool time. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was awesome. And as I'm sure people know now, Amy Schumer and Chuck Schumer, cousins and stuff. So it's amazing. It's amazing how we find that. And I know that some of you probably watched the Dr. Henry Louis Gates show, and they always do at the end, they see if they have anybody that they're famously related to, and it's crazy that ones that come up. So... It's neat.
Yeah. And it was really cool that they had that available for that that convention, that you could like see who you were related to with just a click.
Oh yeah, who wouldn't? I mean, technology.
But the thing is that you really had to do the digging yourself, because they would only tell you who your shared great grandparents were. So you had to do the digging. They weren't going to show all of Sean Astin's like grandmother, grandfather, or whatever, blah blah blah,
Right.
all the way up. But there are other sites that do this, and they'll put the entire family tree of somebody up there. And so
I wish it was
research.
Kevin Bacon, because 6 degrees.
Well,
Why
we
not?
probably all are related to
Yeah,
him.
right. Everybody's related to Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. I mean, it's something that people wanted to check. Puppies.
She's related to Scooby Doo.
Yeah. So what's next?
So what's next? Are you having a scheduled Zoom meeting? No, that's not it. So what is next? Oh, well, okay. So on my side, we related to Frank Capra, and on the Italian side, and my Jewish side is Edward G. Robinson, but that's through marriage. And, you hear the stories, and Frank Capra lived with my great grandparents, and my great grandfather apparently told him not to go into the movie business, that he's a bum and he'll never amount to anything. So that panned out real well. So
don't listen to people.
So yeah, don't
They
listen to your
mess you
great
up.
grandparents, because they don't know what they're talking about.
They
Yeah,
mess you
follow
up
your
sometimes.
dreams, people.
It wouldn't
Follow
have been good for them, maybe, but you can't,
Oh yeah.
But for the person who's wanting to do it, they're the ones who have the.
Well, yeah. Back in the day,
Interest.
who knew
Yeah.
about the movie? The movies were just, the fads and stuff.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Well, now it's even more. It would be dumb if you said, "Yeah, I'm going to start a production company. I've got scripts." Yeah, everyone does now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't we do that last week? I mean, everybody does that. So, yeah, I wonder, and just to be on a side little tangent, I just wonder, like, all the old actors and movie producers and makers of the day would think about now with all these streaming services and everything. It's there's just so much, so much.
Yeah, and podcasts.
Yeah, and podcast, exactly. We used to have radio dramas, audio dramas.
Like this podcast.
Like this podcast.
Yeah.
And a couple others you've done. So it's amazing. It is just
Yeah.
amazing.
And the
where
fact that
at
we're
with
talking to each other through our computers from one end of California to another up the coast.
Right. And you know what? And it's also amazing that because of this technology, we can go back and find our history that you might have never known you had. So that all these Roots Web and all the other places and relativefinder.org and all that is just phenomenal that we have this to pull through. Even when you think you don't have any paperwork, it's been saved somewhere.
Yeah, I hope so, because I was always told that my grandmother's it wasn't her father, but maybe her grandfather was a baron. No, it was a grandfather on her mother's side, I guess. Was a baron.
I think we all get those. We had the Duke of Italy. So
Yeah, and I have not been able to find the name anywhere, but they did weird things with the name. It's like I don't know if they used the first name as part of the baron title or the last name. Sometimes it was I spent way too much time on it a few months ago, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Some things just you hit that dead end, and it doesn't mean it's not true. It just means that you can't find the paperwork. So.
Well, I haven't hit up any of my German cousins yet because they might know. There's like the one cousin who, since they grew up around my grandparents and all, the one cousin that played chess with my grandfather all the time, and they probably talked about stuff. And
and I'm sure there's one relative, that's got it tucked away in their garage in a big old box of just everything you need. And you can't find, and it's just sitting there. So
yeah,
it does get passed down.
And changing, the topic a little bit too, of like the stuff that some of your cousins would know instead of you just getting the whole story yourself. I mean, everybody had like a different angle and a different story that they may have heard. And you really should talk to all of your family and see if they have anything to share.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my mom's like the oldest relative now, second oldest female. And then we have one other cousin, and he's in his 90s, and they still call up each other and talk to, for clarification or something. But yeah, everybody's gone, and it's like, okay, now it's up to whoever wants to take over, which is me, trying to figure it out. So
yeah,
it's hard.
And we should just, all of the famous relatives aren't the only ones who are important. It's like everybody who's in your family tree was a life and they had something going on.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's good to showcase them. And I'm really still trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to do this to show to all of the family members who don't have a clue. Yeah,
you just need a book or a long video.
I think it's going to have to be a book.
Yeah,
I really do.
It does. I mean, that's what happens. That's what, you get the 86 pages of stuff that you've done, and there you go. Just my advice to that, make it in layman's terms, because a lot of people don't get that stuff. Well,
I'm going to do it in pictures, because I have pretty much pictures of everybody when there was a camera in the room, or they already had cameras back when, supposedly the 1800s, but I don't have any pictures that old from my German side. That's who I would be doing this with.
Unless something popped up online.
Well, but it would be for me.
Now, speaking of okay, since we're doing famous relatives and we're kind of veering here and there, do you have any infamous relatives, the bad guys?
Not yet.
That you're aware of?
Not yet. But, I am Scandinavian, so there's that. The Vikings weren't necessarily nice people, but I don't know if I'm related to Eric the Red or anything like that.
All I heard is my great-great-grandfather, second great-grandfather, shot the blacksmith. And didn't kill him, but wounded him, and they went to trial, and I guess the blacksmith was dating his daughter, and it was interracial and not bueno in those times, stupidly as it was, and the blacksmith forgave him, and so he didn't have to go to jail or anything. So that's about the extent so far that I have found. So who knows? Yeah, I'm sure being Italian and from Palermo, there's mafia running through everybody's veins. And I do know that we had one cousin who used to smuggle alcohol during the Prohibition underground in LA, and he hit a gas pipe and exploded underground.
Oof.
I know, right? There's a movie there somewhere.
There were a lot of oil wells and stuff back in the day, all over the place here.
Yeah.
Was that part of the explosion? Gas line?
I don't know. They said it was a gas line, but who knows? Back then, maybe it was oil. Who knows? But
I don't know. Is oil flammable as is? I don't even know. Crude oil?
Maybe when it's mixed with rum, and he probably had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth or something. And
trying to start a lawnmower. I don't know.
Yeah, right. The spark heard around the world. But you know what? Try to find it in the newspapers, and you can't. So who knows? Who knows? But I mean, we'd be sitting there talking, and there'd be like, three of my great aunts. Oh yeah, do you remember when da 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 happened? So, and they're talking, and they all remembered it. It's not like they're looking at one of them going, "You're nuts." So it's like, okay, so where is the history on this? Because it would be a story. I'm sure it would be a news article somewhere.
It's a little story that Grandpa made up to tell you at night before you went to sleep. Something horrifying like a gas line explosion.
Like, don't smuggle rum. Save it and drink it for yourself.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be a lot of people that you're related to that you don't even know about. That are
probably
famous, and like if you, I don't know.
It's easier just to marry him.
Is it though? You have to chase him down.
Exactly. I
don't know.
So we want to hear from you guys. Who are you famously related to? So go over to our website. I just had a blank. twiceremoved.net. and tell us who you're related to famously. And let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And go ahead. And I was going to say, and Linda's going to have the links that we talked about today, relativefinder.org and Roots Web and all that stuff on our website. And also too, and we didn't bring it up yet, Linda is blogging about all this stuff too. So you'll never be far away from us, whether you're reading or listening. And we appreciate that.
We do.
And anything else, Linda?
No, this is pretty short since I don't have a whole lot of famous relatives.
We're sad and pathetic, and this is the end of our podcast. but we thank you for listening to the sad and pathetic us, and hope you'll join us again. The Twice Removed podcast is produced by Linda Anderson and Gina Glass. All opinions expressed are of our own and of our guests. For more information and upcoming guests, please visit our website, twiceremoved.net.